What was the please stop school presentation that you witnessed? Was in a video film making class in high school. One group of guys did a parody of those Gatorade commercials where the athlete's sweat is colored like Gatorade, but it was a sweaty guy jerking off. Apparently there was a Gatorade cum shot, but the teacher just turned that shit off immediately before it got that far. In college during abnormal psychology, a student did an entire presentation on Obama's bipolar disorder. She kept citing an article from The Onion. The anti-vaxxer chick that did a presentation on why vaccines cause autism. Followed up by someone else's presentation on how vaccines do not cause autism. It was a weird day. Presentation on World War II. Student had just discovered all the neat transitions you can use between slides and decided to use a different one each slide. They used the flashing heart transition between a photo slide of a mass grave and a photo slide of Hitler. For 8th grade talent show, 2 girls sang the Mr. Bladell song. Mr. Bladell was a good-looking, recently college graduated teacher that basically was about how cute they thought he was. Even then, it was incredibly uncomfortable, and I remember looking at the teacher's face and he didn't seem very amused. Opioid awareness, literally a few months ago. Started with them blasting the entirety of the Disturbed cover of The Sound of Silence. While a slideshow of images containing sad stock photos with the watermark all over. Random shots of really dark nighttime photos. And tons of poorly photoshopped drug images trudged on ever so slowly. Then 2 women told us the harrowing stories of how their sons died of opioid overdoses. Incredibly emotional, several people cried. Real downer, basically. Then, a DEA agent comes up and tries to act all bad cop. He calls us, an assembly of high school students, grades 9 to 12, fucking morons. The principal was not pleased. He is then followed by a nurse who was there to tell us the physical effects of opioid addiction and withdrawals and all that. And she did talk about that. But the whole time she was running around practically screaming jokes and doing shitty over-the-top gags trying to be the comic relief. In an opioid assembly, where 2 women shared the stories of how their children died. What the fuck was she doing being that loud and crazy? Everyone came out of the whole thing with a general attitude of yeah, fuck opioids, but also fuck that whole presentation. In my high school current events class, 2 freshman girls got a little lost in their research about ISIS. They somehow connected this terrorist group to the magic bullet theory used in the assassination of John F. Kennedy. Me and the few other seniors were holding back laughter the entire presentation. Not a literal presentation really, but we had an assembly in high school where the students that helped plan homecoming would announce the nominations for homecoming court. It always had a cute little theme and like a short skit involved. Well, at one point the audio they were using as the cue for the skit failed. They just kind of paused for technical difficulties. But this one girl from the planning committee started singing a random Disney song a cappella while improvising a dance to go along with it. I guess as a distraction from them trying to fix the audio. She kept trying to get people to join in with her. But nobody did. And she eventually just kind of trailed off mid-song and started pouting that nobody would sing with her. Then once they got the audio fixed for the skit, she pouted and snapped the way through the rest of her lines, which made everything even more uncomfortable. The other famous one was when a girl in our class running for student government referenced a hashtag that she was trying to make popular during her campaign speech to the whole school. The hashtag was something catchy about her having a big ass. There was a genuine collective yikes from the crowd when she said it. I don't think she got elected. Once in college I was in my Spanish class, and our desks were in a U shape. I was on the very end of the U. So some guy is giving a presentation, he is standing behind a podium. Gets a boner. I'm on the side and no one is opposite so I can see it. Dude just kept going on and on and on. I think he was trying to outlast the boner. He ended up getting it down before he had to sit down. Was like a 10 minutes presentation that only needed to be like 3 minutes though. Edit presentation was in Spanish too. I was in 4th grade and a girl in my class did an oral report on Martin Luther King, and how he was a hero for freeing the slaves. Kid at my high school did his senior thesis speech on sex and anime. Late to this but, grade 12 advanced placement English. We were assigned books then had to do a presentation on a topic somehow related to it. The book I was assigned was The Stranger by Camus, so I presented on existentialism in literature. One girl was assigned Animal Farm. She started her presentation on kinds of tractors used in farming. She hadn't read the book and assumed it was about actual animal husbandry. It was a very long presentation. The teacher had to actually hide her face. In high school, a student died in a car accident where she was driving. There was no record that stated she was distracted by her phone or anything, but the school decided to have an assembly shortly after talking about distracted driving and using her as an example. Telling the whole school she'd be alive if she was doing what she was supposed to. Not a presentation, but during our school assemblies we often had student performers, which were usually musically inclined individuals or theater kids doing a monologue. One kid decided to do a stand-up comedy routine about a girl giving him a blowjob. So awkward, and the principal had to interrupt him. Some guy in my class, about 12-13 years old, confused heroic and erotic. The teacher asked if he really read an erotic book and he said yes, as the student watched in disbelief. Took the teacher 30 seconds to catch up the misunderstanding. The one where my school got ripped off by paying a guy who claimed to be on SpongeBob to come talk to us about drugs. He did look kind of like Tom Kenny, I guess. In 1984, when I was in 6th grade, each class did a winter concert. The 8th grade football team sang "I'm Dreaming of a Black Christmas" in blackface. Green Bay, Wisconsin, Bayview Middle School. In history class, we all had to do a presentation about some sort of injustice in the world. One kid chose a prison camp for his topic. All his PowerPoint slides were photos of men being stripped, chained, whipped, sodomized, and forced to give blowjobs. We were 13. Edit: yes, his project was about Abu Ghraib.